It's 10 away from 7 on the Wednesday edition of the South African Morning. Good to have you with us. Around 50%, that's right, 50% of all agricultural produce is wasted during processing, packaging, distribution around the country. That's according to Food Forward SA. Now, it's important because today marks the International Day of Awareness of Food Loss and Waste. It's quite a title, so let's unpack it. Andy du Plessis from Food Forward SA joining us. Now, hello to you, Andy. We waste a lot of food, don't we? But it goes back even to the production and distribution side. We just really aren't very good at this.
Absolutely, Gareth. Good morning, and thank you very much for having us. In South Africa, roughly 10 million tons of food is wasted each year, costing our economy 71.4 billion rand on an annual basis. And that's in spite of the fact that although South Africa has a net surplus of food, we sit with 50% of South Africans that are either food insecure or at risk of food insecurity. So millions of people are going hungry on a daily basis, and yet South Africa wastes a huge amount of food throughout the supply chain. So we're talking from farm to fork, and most of the food surplus happens on the pre-consumer side. So at farmers while they harvest, during the production and manufacturing process, and in the retail supply chain. That's where most of the surplus is taking place. Roughly only 5% of surplus takes place at household level. So we really need to look at the food supply chain and the food system and see how we can do better at integrating and harnessing and recovering that food before it is lost or wasted.
Well, you see, when you start talking about the tens of billions of rands, I mean, we can start putting that into fiscal measurement. That's the kind of money that can make a difference to the country's economy as well. So if we go back to your original point of it being wasted and bad production procedures at the beginning, food to fork, I think is how you phrased it. Where do we begin? How do we start trying to fix this? What's the first thing we go after?
So the way Food Forward South Africa works is our model, our food banking model, that's what we call it, is predicated on the recovery of edible surplus food from the supply chain. So we work with farmers. So we'll go to a farmer and we'll have a conversation with farmers and say that we understand that you are harvesting for a retailer or a manufacturer, and that retailer or manufacturer wants a very specific tomato or onion, a very specific size. It can't be bigger or smaller than that. And if they have blemishes on them, then they throw that away and they dump it in landfill. On the manufacturing side, a manufacturer that produces 10 million tons of cereals a day, if something goes wrong on the production line and the label is, and someone realizes the label is incorrect or the label went skew because there was a glitch in the process, that product can't go onto the market to be sold in a retail store. So manufacturers have to dump that food or incinerate that stock. That was before Food Forward SA came along. We now have conversations and huge long-term partnerships with farmers, manufacturers, wholesalers, and retailers, and we say to them that we understand that that food cannot go into the formal food supply chain to be sold. But if you donate that stock to us, instead of dumping or incinerating that stock, it's a win-win for all of us because you save money by not dumping and incinerating that stock. We are able to use that food to feed people, and we give you tax certificates for that donation, and we save the environment. So it's a win-win for everyone, and it's quite a business-to-business solution for those that want to get rid of huge amounts of surpluses. As I said, millions of tons are wasted on an annual basis. So we need to recover that food before it is lost or wasted throughout the supply chain.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's the perfect B2B solution for something to try and alleviate this food wastage. How easy is it for organizations, farmers, producers, etc., to try and get involved in this program of yours? What's the uptake been like?
Yeah, it's only a benefit to them. So we work from farmer side. We work with agri associations like Agri SA, the Citrus Growers Association. We work with Standard Bank's One Farm Share, and we are able then to connect to farmers in the associations. So it's seamless. Farmers, while they are harvesting, They give us a call. Our trucks come out. We've got a massive fleet throughout the country, a national fleet. We've got branches across the country. And while they're harvesting, our trucks will be there, and we'll take all their off-take, their out-of-spec surpluses, anything that looks ugly, that doesn't look beautiful enough to be sold in a retail store. We will take that stock. So we come to them. On the manufacturing side, we go to the manufacturers' plants and we collect that stock. And on the retailer side, we go to their distribution centers. So our trucks are out every day collecting food from Pick and Pay, Woolworths, Food Lovers Market, Massmart stores, and distribution centers. And we are collecting this food. So it's easy for them, and they're saving money at the end. But the key here is, in a country where 27% of South African children aged between 0 and 5 years old are suffering from malnutrition, that's a third of our country's population, of our children population, 0 to 5-year-olds. We need to do better in a country where we have a net surplus of food, and yet we have this contradiction where people are going hungry. So Food for South Africa connects this world of surplus, where there's good edible quality food, and we provide it to those that need it. It costs Food for SA only 85 cents to be able to deliver that meal, where it would cost roughly 34 billion rand annually to feed all the food insecure people across South Africa.
It will make such a difference as well. Hopefully someone watching now is in that supply chain, Andy, and they can get hold of you at Food Forward SA. Andy du Plessis, I appreciate your time. Wonderful idea to try and alleviate hunger in South Africa. We've got the food, we're just letting it go to waste. We still have starving people in South Africa. The two just don't make sense.